horses and hunting have always been my stable things in my life. I want to bring them together as much as I can.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Not everybody gets that opportunity to do that.
I tell people it belongs to all of us. This public land is an untapped resource. I have my farm here. I can do what I want on, but the resources that we have in this state that a lot of states don't have, you can go camping and riding your horse and bird watching and hunting, and you can do it all. And I really love Big South Fork for that reason.
Public land, like you said, it's for everybody. I did a turkey hunt on public land maybe 2 or 3 years now ago, and that was one of the more fun hunts because I mean we had to hunt and work for it because we didn't know where the birds were.
Right.
Never been there before in my life. I mean, it was one day just thought we're going to do this and make a video. You can go watch it on YouTube.
You and Mike Parsons.
Yeah.
Yep. Great video.
Well, it's how much of a challenge you want. I mean, Middle Tennessee is an untapped resource. I've also learned that's another dimension when you talk about hunting, when you bring dogs into it, whether you're chasing bear or squirrel or retrieving ducks or whatever, how committed are you? Are you wanting to train your own dog? You want to shell out the bucks for one that's trained, or you just want to go out there and try it's another dimension that you have to have some commitment and spend that time doing.
I don't have the money, so a lot of it depend on me, how much work am I
But
put into it.
even if you have the money and spend it on a well-trained dog, you got to learn how to work that dog.
Truth.
Won't you take me back to Tennessee? The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This year, we celebrate the men and women of the TWRA responsible for 75 years of wildlife conservation. Now make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got another great show lined up for you today. We're back on location here in Seymour, Tennessee. We had to do a part 2, right, Matt?
Yeah, indeed. We were really just getting going here with Daniel, and we ran out of time.
Yeah.
So we decided we would just go ahead and have the second episode.
Yeah, so again, thank you for having us at your place.
Thank you, guys.
Here on this farm here in Seymour, Tennessee. And I love coming back to East Tennessee for WildCast. It's always fun to be on this side of the state. No offense to West and no offense to Middle, but I grew up out in this area, so it's always fun to be back on this side. But
you talk about where you're from in Tennessee, there's a certain pride in saying I'm an East Tennessean, man. I can't lie to you. It's God's country.
Yeah, sure enough. If you're not familiar with that voice, Mr. Matt Cameron, he's helping me co-host today. Appreciate Matt and all he does for the folks here in East Tennessee and communications, and great to have you helping co-host and lining up shows for us while we're out here.
And just thanks for letting me come back on.
Yeah. Appreciate our radio partners out there running the show across the state. You can listen to this show from Bristol to Memphis, or what is it, Mountain City to Memphis? That's
correct.
So we're all across the state, especially around the Knoxville area. There's a station here, there's a station in Morristown, across the plateau. Like I said, you can just catch us anywhere from here to there. So thanks for listening on the podcast. Keep coming back there. Subscribe, like, share. Same thing on social media. We appreciate that. So Daniel, let's start kind of where we left off last time. We were having so much fun. We talked about
just getting going.
Your turkey hunt encounter with a bear while turkey hunting last spring, which you ended up doubling with your buddy Tom. No pun intended there. Tom,
right.
Friend,
got that too.
Comes up, yeah.
Friend Tom helped him get a Tom. They both had a chance at a Tom, so it was a great hunt. But anyway, we talked about how you got introduced into hunting. Your Paducah 8-point. A great duck hunt. Let's pick it up right there at the duck hunt. We were kind of on the tail end of that when we had to close out the show. But you reached out to the biologist that banded that bird, right?
Right.
Yeah, let's bring that back up. Let's start there.
Yeah, so when you get a banded bird, you can get that certificate. It shows you date, location, species, the name of the biologist that banded it, and all that information. So me being me and liking to talk to people, I tracked the guy down. He was a retired biologist. He lives in Louisiana, and it was just so cool because I was so excited about this bird coming from that distance 9 years ago. and hearing him tell the stories, he's like, oh, I can tell you all about the banding station. He told me about his background. He just loved ducks and duck hunting when he was young. That's why he became a biologist, just so he could work with ducks. So if you want to know something about any duck, he is definitely the guy to talk to.
You got him on speed dial.
Yeah, but he explained the whole banding operation, how that came to be. I think it was post World War II, and gave me all the history. But he also told me all about that banding station, taking bush planes. I mean, how difficult it was to get there.
Wow.
And so I've just kind of kept in contact with him. It's a really cool person to know.
That's cool. And you shared with us, you sent him a framed.
Yeah, it was so cool. So I had some old barn wood that oak wood that I'd lined our stalls with, and I started making picture frames, and it makes really hunting pictures, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I framed the certificate and a picture of the bird and sent it to him, and you know, I appreciate what he did, and
yeah,
I just wanted to show my appreciation to him a little bit.
That's cool.
Very nice.
That's cool. Well, while we're on the topic of ducks, you got some friends that know what it's all about when it comes to hunting ducks with dogs.
Yeah. Well, what we were talking about earlier, finding those people, if you're interested in anything, find people that know about it and follow their lead. And I've always said, no matter what you're talking about, you will learn something from everyone. It may be what to do, maybe what not to do. And I've been around some people, it's like, all right, don't do that. But again, I was just real fortunate to get on the duck lease that I was on. And these guys are so good. The calling, you know, I can turkey call about as good as I can duck call, not much. If I'm by myself, I'll quack a little bit and get a little bit of response. But if I'm hunting with these guys, I just I just keep quiet. But Chris Knight, Southern Knights Retrievers, gun dogs this guy produces. He's a professional trainer, breeds gun dogs, and to see those dogs work, not just his, but a couple other guys on the lease, it's amazing to see those duck dogs in action when you're really out there. Good ones that you're not having to recall, or I mean, I've seen a few that kind of went sideways, and it's like, where's the dog? Why is he going that way? It's not the case with these. You're out there with professionals, literally professionals.
Yeah,
and just learning. I mean, learning all I can.
Well, I'm trying to think of a way, Matt, we could get on, maybe on his good side here, and Daniel take us with him. Because I've never.
Years have already been turning here. Podcast with Chris Knight. That might be
that's it
in there.
In the duck blind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it has to be in the blind. Has to be in the blind.
And then we'll shoot as birds come, right?
I'm just really fortunate to be there because we can goose hunt there on the lease. You see cranes all the time. They actually do guided crane hunts on the side too.
Wow.
Have you got to eat one?
I've not been crane hunting yet.
Have you?
No, I've had it.
And it's another one of those things. He's taking people, and I need to just I've got to make the time to go.
Yeah.
So have you had sandhill crane?
No.
Okay.
No, I want to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They looked like a freaking great blue heron. Growing up, I always thought they were like a wading bird, but they're not. They're kind of an upland bird, eat a lot of grain, so apparently they're delicious.
Yeah, I've videoed a lot out there of them, and it looks like a pterodactyl flying through the air, and it's deceiving because they're so big. When you see them fly, they're moving.
Yeah.
They're moving faster than what you realize.
Okay.
But just to, it's not every day somebody in East Tennessee has that experience seeing all those different birds in a place like that.
It is neat, man. I mean, geographically speaking, Tennessee is so different and diverse from east to west. So when I go to West Tennessee, it's like being in another world to me. It fascinates me, all that.
The 3 stars on our flag, West, Middle, and East Tennessee, that's what they represent. It is like a different world.
And in waterfowl hunting, there is some waterfowl hunting in East Tennessee, some to speak of. There's some guys that are serious about it that can kill ducks, but by and large, there's a whole lot more work put into it than the reward that you get out of it. So that's why I go that way to the other end of the state if I'm going to seriously duck hunt.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's something I've never had the opportunity to do. I've filmed a duck hunt before. I was behind the camera, but I hadn't pulled the trigger on one, so I think it'd be fun to try.
I'll tell you my best duck hunt when I was 16, and they ruined me, man. It was cold. You're talking about breaking ice and dipping it out. There was a pothole in a cornfield on the Pigeon River, just outside of Rankin Bottoms in Cott County. If you people are listening, you know where I'm talking about, the Williams Farm. There's a pothole that flood. It was cold, froze up. Long story short, we'd had to dip net the ice out every 30 minutes. It's freezing back up. But we killed 36 ducks that day when I was 16. I said, dude, duck hunting is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of mankind. Forget deer hunting, forget turkey hunting. I'm going to be a duck hunter. And I bet you I haven't killed 36 ducks since then.
Since
45 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you have that experience and that memory.
Oh my gosh. When you really get into it, I can't imagine a better, more enjoyable outdoor hunting experience than a good duck hunt.
It is. I love it all. I love dove, deer. I mean, I love deer hunting, but being out there, especially when you got a good group of guys, and everybody.
The social part of it.
Yeah, the social part, you can move around and talk and just have an absolute ball.
It's kind of like this, just hanging out, chatting, and having a good time, and then you get to maybe shoot a bird here.
And hopefully they come by. I mean, a bad day duck hunting, still a good day.
I would agree. I got to eat ribeye in the duck blind at John Goodman. He's the son of Kenny Goodman, who works for our fisheries in Region 4. His son's got a duck hunting guide service out there on Reelfoot now, just getting started. And he took us last year, and we didn't get to shoot. Man, the ducks were migrating. Like I was telling y'all earlier, they were in the stratosphere going back north. It was the last weekend of the season. They didn't want a decoy, but we ate ribeye and eggs in the duck blind, man. So, yeah, a bad day duck hunting.
The end of duck season, if you go a lot, you got to start exercising and dieting afterward. That's been my experience, because you can do a lot of duck hunting, but we're doing a lot of eating good food too.
Yeah,
indeed.
Well, I want to dive into, pun intended here. I'll throw this in there. A lobster hunt that you went on. We're going to jump from West Tennessee to Florida, or to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So lobster hunting. I never thought about it. Now Matt wants to go do it. I think he's questioning it, but
yeah, and I
think he's ready.
Tell us about it. What is it all about?
I'd gotten out of college, started my career, and it was like, before I have kids, let's do something that we couldn't normally do. And I ended up, my roommate in college, our plan was to go to Alaska. He was a fisherman. He liked trout fishing, and I liked hunting. That didn't work out, and I ended up on St. Croix in the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean, just because I wanted an adventure. Obviously, I think outside the box, a lot of things. Went down there. I'm from East Tennessee. I knew nothing about scuba diving. I knew nothing about sailing. I worked my job to pay the bills, but on the weekend, I was always on a boat. Got certified in scuba diving, got into that pretty heavy. I was actually a dive master for a company down there, some really good friends of mine. But I wanted to learn scuba dive so I could go lobster hunting. That was kind of the thing behind it. It's one of the first people I met. I started, is there any hunting that goes on down here? It's like, no, man, we're not hunting down here. He's like, but I go lobster hunting a lot. And that is definitely a different experience. And it's just like we talk about duck and deer hunting, it's situational, the environment, where you're going, when you're going. The biggest, I guess most intense, out on the east end of the island at the Divvy Casino, actually, we would go out at night. And the first time I went with this guy, you've got all your gear, you got a pole with a snare on it to snare lobster, Kevlar gloves. These are spiny Caribbean lobster. They don't have the pincher. Okay.
Oh,
that's
the way their shells are designed.
That was the rub.
Yeah, you can't grab one barehanded and just shred your hand. So you have to wear these Kevlar gloves and have a snare. But we get out there at night and you're on your back pedaling out, and I'm like, so how far are we going? He's like, 200 or 300 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot unless it's at night and you're in the ocean and you're not used to it and you see the lights on the beach getting smaller and smaller.
Oh, wow.
But we would go out there and you actually had to cross over the reef, and we would drop down the other side with flashlights, of course, and go up inside. I call them caves. I guess it's not by definition a cave, but you're going under the reef in some pretty sketchy situations. But we caught a lot of lobster that way. So that was my hunting outlet for 3 years when I was down there in the Caribbean, was going out at night, catching lobster. I had no money. I was broke, but I was eating well. Yeah.
So Matt, it's not the big lobster from Red Lobster, that's in the aquarium that could pinch you.
So, right. and when you send a picture, I'm scrolling through them. I see this awesome buck deer. I see the duck. I see the certificate, and then Daniel's holding some lobsters with his visor on and his swimming trunks.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
like,
man, that don't
This
look
isn't
like
East
that.
Tennessee.
Or Alaska, that's what got
Yeah.
me, man. So I got to thinking, man, them things got pinchers, right? How strong is a lobster's pinchers? Can it cut my fingers off? So I started looking it up. So over 100 pounds per square inch is how hard those things can pinch. And I'm like, I ain't grabbing one of them, dude. Not with my hands. And
Yeah.
you had me tore all to pieces catching lobsters with your hands. I mean, I've had to hear this. So they have no claws.
They have no claws, but the way their shells are designed, they're protected. I mean, it's like a serrated edge on either
You
side.
don't want to grab them.
Yeah, like I say, if you grab it with your bare hand, it's over.
Okay.
You gotta have a snare, and I made snares out of little PVC pipe and wires, and we would use those, or just grab them when you're wearing those Kevlar gloves, and had a bag, stuck them in. But it's odd, kind of like talking about turkey hunting and seeing bear and everything. It's like you would see a shark,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
and most people when they see a shark get kind of freaked out. But if you're really focused and concentrating on getting a lobster, get away from me.
Really?
Leave my
They don't mind?
lobster bag alone.
Are they
Yeah.
trying to get your lobsters?
No, I mean I never had that happen. I'm as much as people do lobstering like that. I'm surprised they don't try to snatch them out of your lobster bag. But I never had that happen. I did. We weren't lobster hunting. One of the coolest experiences I had. I was diving a lot, so I was leading dives for these people that had a small dive operation. And one of the owners, before I left, wanted to do some deep dives, and I'd never done a 200-foot dive. And so we went out to the wall. It's a vertical drop. You go out and you start going down. Of course, you have a computer, and I'll never dive enough again where I would feel comfortable doing it. It's not something people need to do unless you're really trained.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to get my 200-foot dive in, and we were almost, I think it was like 192 feet we were at. And she starts banging on her tank, and I look up, and now she's a real professional diver, much more comfortable in the water than me. Look down, there's a 14-foot tiger shark that had come up, and it was on the wall just down there checking us out. And we're like,
Yikes.
let's go back up. And it takes 37 minutes to resurface.
Oh my.
Because you at that depth you can't just shoot straight up. So we immediately got next to each, like linked arms to look as big as you can, and just go up real slow. And you look down, look at your computer, and look up for 37 minutes. But we weren't catching lobster that day, but it was an amazing experience for, like I say, guy from the hills of East Tennessee.
Sure.
Don't see that kind of thing.
It's gonna be the longest 37 minutes of your life.
It was stretched out. Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
yeah.
Thinking
It
what?
was an experience.
Just don't lose a toe. Like, what? You never know.
Y'all won't believe this. Speaking of sharks, not far from here, but in the French Broad River, it's probably been 15 years ago, a guy caught a shark in the French Broad River, and I would not believe it had one of our officers not went down there and
Bull
laid
shark?
on it. It was some kind of a thresher shark about yay long,
Really?
had a big long tail fin on the back. He figured it was a sturgeon because they kind of look like a shark.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Jeff Webb, who I know and love and trust, went and saw it. He said, dude, it's legit. And all we could figure was someone had an aquarium fish
And let it out.
that turned it loose in the river. He said it was almost dead. It was in really, really bad shape. He
So
said
somebody
bad shape.
caught it on
In freshwater. Yeah, guy was out there walleye and sauger fishing and caught this thing. And I thought, he's lying. There ain't no way. Lo and behold, in the French Broad
Wow,
River,
I've not heard that.
a shark. Yeah. One and only.
wild.
Thank God the media didn't get a hold of that, or I would have been a busy man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the
That
message there, Matt? You probably tell this message all the time. Don't release
Do not release
non-native animals,
absolutely
any animal,
captive
really.
wildlife into the wild for that reason. Very little chance of that thing surviving in freshwater, obviously, for very long, but still, you don't want to move stuff around. I mean, we get caimans pretty often in the rivers here. You can have them as a pet legally. They get too big, they outgrow their aquarium, and old boy just takes it and chucks it in the creek somewhere. And here we're getting calls about alligators in the
Well,
water.
that's why we have wild boar.
Yeah.
Correct.
They brought them in centuries ago, whenever it was, to hunt. And
Have you hunted them?
not yet. That's another. I want to do a boar hunt, successful one, and I'm planning on doing a bear hunt this fall with Tom. Actually, the guy that I went turkey hunting with.
Well, you mentioned backpack, or not backpack, but bareback or horseback hunting.
Yeah,
So,
so
that's what you want to do.
I have two new goals, and it brings my two passions, horses and hunting, together. The big reason I want to go on a bear hunt is I'm going to eat the meat. I've had bear a few times, and it's awesome. So I eat everything I shoot, but also I want to make a set of chaps for winter riding with that bear hide and that bear hair, like you see back in the 1800s from these old westerns, and they have those woolly chaps, and I'd really like to make a homemade set of those.
That's cool.
And then my second goal now, since I've got a turkey under my belt and camping experience, I've never gone backcountry overnight with my horses, but I want to get enough training from Tom or whoever to really go out and scout and find the turkey. And I want to go do a backpacking trip or a horse backcountry trip turkey hunting up in Big South Fork. I think that would be really rewarding, just to have those two things come together. Those, like I said earlier, horses and hunting have always been my stable things in my life. I want to bring them together as much as I can.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Indeed.
It's a totally different style than what you're going to be used to. You know, not everybody gets that opportunity to do that.
That's a very unique experience, and not like you need anything else to do, but as a guide, if you got a guide license, if you did guided horseback turkey hunting, I would say you could book as many trips as you would want to.
That's further down the road for me. I'm just figuring out the turkey part of it.
Yeah. Well, good luck if you ever figure them out, dude. Because
we can do a group. Y'all
evil.
We can all go.
Evil.
So that's, I guess, with some of the new opportunities there in Fentress County is where you're going to try to make this happen, right?
Yeah, we're talking about Middle and East and West Tennessee. I've fallen in love with the Cumberland Plateau. I grew up here in the Smokies, mostly backpacking, trail riding horses, and camping. But yeah, Middle Tennessee, like Big South Fork, is an untapped resource. I mean, you come over here to Cades Cove and the Smokies and whatnot, and it's getting so crowded. And you go up there to Big South Fork, I tell people it belongs to all of us. This public land, I have my farm here. I can do what I want on, but the resources that we have in this state that a lot of states don't have, you can go camping and riding your horse and bird watching and hunting, and you can do it all. And I really, really love Big South Fork for that reason, because you can bear hunt now. We're gonna have a bear season finally. They're getting so thick, but boar hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting, whatever. And I really want to explore that area.
Yeah, that's cool. It's public land, like you said. It's for everybody. I did a turkey hunt on public land, maybe 2 or 3 years now ago, and that was one of the more fun hunts, because we had to hunt and work for it because we didn't know where the birds were.
Right.
Never been there before in my life. It was one day, just thought we're going to do this and make a video. You can go watch it on YouTube.
You and Mike Parsley.
Yeah.
Yep. Great video.
Well, it's how much of a challenge you want. If I want to go have a successful hunt, I'm probably going to want to go on private land, because that's where you have more success. But like we were talking earlier, when I was young growing up, I didn't have that luxury, and you just go out there and do the best you can. I think it makes you a better hunter, better outdoorsman, because you do have those challenges. You have to, deer hunting, you have to get out there earlier before everybody else and find those little pockets that nobody else is at. Any hunting that you do, but it's just a resource. Like we were talking about, people that aren't familiar with hunting, don't say you don't have a place to go, find it, because we have a lot of public access here in Tennessee that we need to protect and take care of and use. So I encourage people to get out, explore those places.
Yeah, and something else that I've learned throughout the years just working here is learning how to hunt in some ways. And you people say, well, there's no deer on this WMA, or there's no deer over here, over there. But if you just learn how to hunt them, they're in there. There's some big deer in those mountains. Those mountain deer can be pretty big. They just know how to hide from you.
Like I say, I've bow hunted, muzzleloader, rifle, East Tennessee hills, West Tennessee cotton fit. I've done that all over Tennessee. I know a guy that and he lives right here in East Tennessee. He only bow hunts public property. That's his thing. That guy's doing some hunting, and he's successful, and he gets nice deer. It's like that. That's a deer hunter right there. He's dedicated. He goes out year round scouting and everything. Like, it's there. You might be in a kayak hiking in, but he can get out there and do it.
You hit on something right there. It made me think of Jimmy Kyle there in Morristown. He's a well-known taxidermist and just a big deer hunter. I mean, it's just who Jimmy is. Young man, he's probably early 40s, but the guy says, I spend more time in the summer scouting these deer than I actually do hunting them when the fall comes. He says that's where you win and lose the game. Is the time and the legwork he puts in ahead of time. He's already got it figured out by the time he goes to the woods. It's like the woods in the shed. You're just going to get it when you go there. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but you still got to hunt them. But he's already got 90% of the work.
You're earning that when you make that shot. You've earned it. And that's we were talking about when I was younger and didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that. I didn't know to go out earlier. And if I did go out earlier, I didn't know what I was looking for. I needed somebody to teach me. So, you got to find those people that are interested in it and help each other.
And are you mentoring anybody else? I know you said you take your kids hunting now. Do you have anybody that you're trying to help get going in the woods?
Not right.
Hadn't come along yet?
Yeah, it's our kids are just graduating high school and everything, so I've been tied up. But it's one of those situations, as time goes on, I get a little bit more free time. I would rather take somebody hunting and see them have success, get their first duck or get their first deer, get first whatever. That's exciting. That's really
when it comes full circle for you as a hunter.
I feel like I gave something back.
I can relate. I got me a little squirrel dog. Now, his success depends upon me and how much work I want to put in training him, but I want to take people out and we can, like you said, walk and talk and laugh and cut up and socialize while we hunt rather than just sit still, be quiet, worry about the wind, don't fart, don't whatever, and where we can get out and just, like I said, just socialize and enjoy one another's company. So that's my next big adventure in the woods is training Ringo, my little squirrel dog I got from David Phillips and Glenda that we did a podcast with.
Yeah.
They gave me that dog and he is wide freaking open right now. He's full of energy, mountain feist. I don't know if you've ever had one or been around one, dude, but they're full of energy. So he's got it in him. I've just got to get him pointed in the right direction, show him what we're going to do.
But I've also learned that's another dimension when you talk about hunting, when you bring dogs into it, whether you're chasing bear or squirrel or retrieving ducks or whatever, how committed are you? Are you wanting to train your own dog? You want to shell out the bucks for one that's trained, or you just want to go out there and try it's another dimension that you have to have some commitment and spend that time doing.
Well, I don't have the money, so a lot of it will depend on me, how much work am I put into it.
Even if you have the money and spend it on a well-trained dog, you got to learn how to work that dog.
Truth.
You can't just go spend the money and just go hunting. You've got to put the work in yourself.
And these serious squirrel hunters I've talked to, Eddie Odell being one of them, David Phillips, says it doesn't always carry over from year to year. You think, okay, I've got it trained. Now next year we'll go get them. They almost reset, he says. If you don't work with them all through the summer and get them ready by the time fall comes, you kind of have to reset and get out there with them. So it's not just a one and done thing. It's kind of a lifestyle being a houndsman. You were asking me about horses earlier. Same thing with horses. I've had them my whole life and done a lot of training and learned from other people. You got to stay on it. You can't just put them up for the winter and expect the same thing when you go ride that spring ride. Never crossed my mind, man. Never crossed my mind. And there they are.
There they are. Pretty horses. Well, another show in the books, man. Time
goes fast.
Yeah.
You're having fun.
Yeah. I appreciate you letting us stay another half hour with you.
Yeah.
Guys can stay all week.
Not just.
Like today, my wife and kids make fun. They're like, "Oh, you've got a captive audience now." Yeah, exactly.
We may have a new co-host for the East Tennessee.
There you go.
But yeah, I appreciate you sharing those stories with us and
Thank
your
you,
passion for the outdoors, and maybe other people will hear
important.
it and want to pass it on to other people. So
yeah, go outside, do something, find somebody that knows what they're doing, and learn from them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thanks for what you do in that realm, and then outside of that realm with your private, your job and your wife's job here, and with the horses and therapy. Appreciate what you do for those people.
It's rewarding.
This is Tennessee WildCast. We're here each week. Keep coming back. Keep tuning in. Keep listening, watching, sharing, liking, and we'll see you next time.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Join us as we celebrate 75 years of conservation in our great state. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.